right, hey guys, Scott here with SJC Fit. So today is Movement Tuesday, and so in today's video, I kind of wanted to cover one of my favorite movements to focus and target in on your lower abdominal area. So a lot of the things I see in the gym and I see with personal trainers now is they focus a lot on doing crunches, sit-ups, movements that are going to focus a lot more on your upper abdominal area. But what's neglected a lot of the times is that lower abdominal area, kind of where you start seeing that belly fat and where that beer belly might be, if you will. So in this video, I'm going to cover kind of one of my favorite movements and the equipment that you're going to need. If you have access to a gym, this is my little tiny home gym. It's efficient enough. It does the job. But if you have access to a gym, you have a gym membership somewhere, all you need is simply a bench or the ground. Now, if you are a novice to doing abdominal movements, ab workouts, this movement might become a little bit more advanced if you're doing it with the bench, because what happens is there's really nowhere for your feet to rest if you need to. They're just hanging off the bench. So there's a lot more engagement when you do this movement on a bench. I like to use the bench because it gives you that extra 6 inches of stretch right below your hips, and I'll explain that a little bit more in detail once you see me do that. So like I said, let's go ahead and get this started. So I'm going to kind of cover the basic movement standards for this. So hopefully I don't bump into this and the bench doesn't move. So if you have a bench, if you don't, if you have the floor, everything applies. The movement standards are the same, except when you're bringing your feet up, when you bring them down, don't let them slam onto the ground. Control the movement down so that they gently tap the ground, and then you move right back in. So you should have a nice controlled eccentric and concentric movement. So let's go ahead and find the bench here. You'll find the bench, go ahead and lay down. Key things to note here in this movement is when you're doing, and this applies even to doing crunches or sit-ups or anything that engages the core, ideal thing is you want to focus on driving that belly button to your spine and creating like a suction cup with your back. Don't allow your back to round and create this wide open position, because what that does is that's actually disengaging your core, and you're actually putting a lot more pressure and a lot more of the weight on your back. And then we're not really wanting to work your back. That actually puts your back into an unstable position where you could potentially injure yourself. So we really want to make sure that we're using our core to perform this movement. So keeping that in mind, thinking about squeezing your belly button down to your spine, so flexing your abs, go ahead and put your hands behind your head. So your hands behind your head on this bench should generally be just for, not necessarily used as a way to pull yourself up, but more or less to keep balance, because your butt will be kind of hanging off the bench a little bit. So if you do have lower back issues, or if you've experienced low back issues, if you want to do this movement, I would strongly recommend scaling it down and maybe starting on the ground. Or if you want to use the bench, as long as you don't feel any sharp pains or anything that might prevent you from doing it, obviously consult with your doctor beforehand. Go ahead and scoot a little bit farther back so your butt's not hanging off the bench quite as much. What that does is it allows more stability and strength. You're not putting as much weight on that back. So again, it should be a core movement, but if you have a weak back, there's potential for you to do that, which could lead to injury. So we want to prevent you from doing that. So I'm going to scoot slightly off the bench to kind of show you this more advanced movement. So with your hands out on the sides, you're going to be basically raising your feet out here. I would like you to keep your legs fully extended, toes pointed forward. And so as you're doing this, I could keep my hands off the bench and still perform this movement. So knowing that, when you use your hands on the bench, make sure that you're not yanking on the bench. You're wanting to engage that core. So in this movement, you'll be performing an up movement with, again, these legs as fully extended as you can. Don't let them slouch. Fully extend them, toes pointed forward. And as you come down, go just below that hip point. and then slowly pull up. And this again is a nice slowly controlled concentric and eccentric or up and down movement. So you should be feeling this in your core by now. And again, trying to engage that core, prevent that back from rounding off the bench. So now, as you're doing that, I've done 3 or 4, I'm already out of breath. This is great. If a great lower abdominal exercise. If you like a little bit more of a challenge, what you can do on top of hanging your legs off the bench is, again, finding this position. You'll be continuing to do this movement, but at the top position, right when your feet are directly above your hips, what you'll be doing is lifting up and then going down. And again, don't let your hands do the work. I'm barely touching the bench. I'm letting my core do the work. Now, some things to note when you're doing this: when you go up, make sure that when you come up to this upward position, don't do that. Don't bring your feet all the way back. They should find a nice 90-degree angle and go up from that position in a straight upward direction. So when you pull your feet all the way back like this, that's disengaging your core, and you're actually doing a lot more of a back stretch. And that's really not what we're wanting to do. We're really wanting to engage that core and keeping those legs fully extended the entire time. So with that in mind, I hope that helps. Again, this is a great abdominal workout to add to your programs. I recommend doing abs. Treat your ab day as if you would treat your leg day or your arm day or upper body, whatever it is. Your abs are just as important. They are important for stability, for walking, for everything as far as balance goes. So it is important. Don't neglect your abdominal area. And it's more specifically, don't neglect your lower abdominal area as well. So hope that helps. And if you haven't yet, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. There'll be a link below this video. And hope that helps. We'll see you in the next video. Have a good night, guys.